I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I read about this in like an Am I the Asshole subreddit. OP asks r/houseplants if her boyfriend is being unreasonable for asking that she cuts down on owning 200 houseplants. Drama ensues. Now, this is the kind of pointless, completely meaningless stuff that I would like to cover. This is from a month ago, by the way, because there's just not enough. I'll tell you what it is. There's too much gender war related stuff popping up recently. And quite frankly, reading the short essays that get commented on my videos in regards to like, men's rights activists coming along, it has me feeling mega depressed. So we're going to avoid that for a little bit. TLDR, OP has nearly 200 houseplants in her apartment. Boyfriend wants them to move in together, but wants her to reduce the number a fair bit. OP asks the houseplant sub for advice. Sub proceeds to turn into relationship advice for the day. Link to thread, text below. I'm just going to read the text. Good chance the thread could just not exist anymore. I hope this is allowed. I need some advice. I spent several years building my collection of plants, and I'm right around 200. I currently live on my own and have no need to move other than to be with him. He asked me to move in. I did not ask to live with him. He's been constantly telling me that my collection would overwhelm him, and I had to fight for 3 walls to put shelves. As I look around, though, many of them are large and very well established, grown from small cuttings, so fitting them on shelves is impossible without cutting them down. Some of my Hoyas that I've had are well over 3 feet long and finally blooming. Many of my trailing plants are entirely too long for... I don't need to know about the plants. You got a lot of plants, fella. I think my take on this, I don't remember if this was on Am I the Asshole or not, but y'all clearly have very different goals for your life, and yours involve a lot of plants, and he doesn't like plants as much as you do. So you should probably find yourself a plant man. When I tell him that maybe it's best I just stay at my apartment so I can keep my plants, he makes me feel guilty because I'm choosing plants over him. I did read this somewhere. The sub is not happy, though. And this is where things get interesting. See, I feel like I read this in... Like, did I make a video on it? I feel like I've read this story, but it was in Am I the Asshole? And things were a bit more like, all over the place. But since you posted in Houseplants, I'd imagine that they get very heated. My throat is killing me. Why do I feel like I got cough every 2 seconds? I got that COVID. Boyfriend wants it. Yeah, we didn't know. The purpose of abuse is control. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything that gives the target of abuse any form of self-esteem, validation, enjoyment, or resources, the abuser will work to sabotage that because it lessens his control. My abusive ex actively worked to sabotage me listening to music, working, and being active in AA because all of those things took away his power and control. Doesn't matter what it is. An abuser will sabotage anything that lessens their sense of power and control. Now, I agree with all this. But there's a relatively good chance that this could just be a man who's like, I'm not really into having 200 plants. Or he could be the hyper power tripping, controlling god. Who knows? Demon, I guess, would be the best word to use here. I enjoy Reddit because the conversation can be about one thing, and it will very quickly jump to, you're literally living with a dictator very quickly without us having really any background information. Because let's be real here, this is a person that had an abusive ex, so they're kind of going to be they're going to be on the lookout. Their head's going to be on a swivel, right? And I'm kind of the same. My head's on a swivel. Like, you tell me, like, is it safe to run at 4 a.m.? There's going to be a lot of people who are like, well, it depends on your neighborhood. Your neighborhood seems safe. So yeah, you should be fine. Me, I'm going to be like, no, bring a gun every time. A gun, head on a swivel. You could live in a multi-million-dollar house in a neighborhood that's 100% gated, and I'm going to be like, your head isn't on a swivel? But that's because that has to do with how I grew up in my childhood. So, Reddit jumps to conclusions. Even my awful... The cough is... Wait for things to load. Even my awful, nasty, abusive ex-husband let me keep my plants. They were the first thing he tried wrecking when he left, or when I left, but he let me keep them. The only plant she needs to get rid of is that prick. Men are a dime a dozen anyway. Hey, man, ain't shit, ladies. You're doomed, whoever you are. Are you a woman? Yeah, you're doomed. You're doomed. I don't want anyone to dox you or find you because I know the internet's a weird place. Nobody mess with this person. but you're doomed. You're doomed. Anytime I read somebody saying something like this, her loss, men are a dime a dozen, I know that I'm dealing with somebody who's got some baggage. I have 250 plants. My husband knows better, and I do not ask him to take care of them. In fact, he is not allowed. I don't really mind plants that much, but maybe you guys have a small spot. Some users have a different opinion. 200 seems beyond the level of healthy, reasonable hobby and more like, this is who I am and I love my plants. And honestly, I'm all for it. No need to act like it's a reasonable or normal amount of plants. That's probably my take. The most level-headed take, I think, in my opinion of this is he probably doesn't want 200 plants. 200 plants is a lot to him, but it's not a lot to you. And if you really care about those plants and they're more important than him, then you should just live with your plants. I don't understand what is going on with my throat, but I'm getting through it. 200 indoor plants does seem a bit excessive, don't you think? Let's not act like that's normal. I mean, 200 is a lot of plants to keep indoors, especially if they're large plants and you have cats. These can be reasonable. It's 200 plants in an apartment. Oh, it's an apartment too. It's apartment plants, not even house plants. Ignoring all the accusations flying around in there was actually a couple of really measured responses. I'm shook. Yeah, I see a lot of people mentioning he won't compromise, but it sounds like 3 walls of plants is a compromise for him. So I wonder, is compromising actually possible if you want such different things? This is what I'm saying. Dedicating basically dedicating a room of your apartment to just plants, that's a big life switch. That's a change, you know what I'm saying? The comment is one of the few that noticed it. If Opie had to fight for 3 walls, that means that her partner did compromise already. I had to deal with an episode yesterday from triggering emotional flashbacks. The comment talking about abuse and control just rubbed me the wrong way. Not everything is abuse. Not everything is narcissism. Just being a dick about something is not abuse, nor is having trouble compromising with someone who wants to bring fucking 200 houseplants with them when they see, this is what I'm talking about. This is what y'all throw around that word too much. And like, you'll have like an anecdotal, biased personal experience with it, but that doesn't really apply to everyone else. You know, it turns out he's not really a dictator because he's like, these 200 plants, maybe we could cut down on that. He's not really like a controlling dude. 200 houseplants is just kind of a lot. She has every right to have 200 plants. He has every right to not want to live in a home with 200 plants. True. That's the most boring and accurate answer to all this. I've kept 7 houseplants alive over a year, and I'm proud of that small accomplishment. I can't fathom the amount of effort this person has put into those plants. I totally understand her BF not wanting to live in a jungle, but I also get the attachment, and that's fair. Because 200 plants is a lot. That's a lot of work, man. I'd probably feel the same way if I had 200 plants, but I don't think I'll ever reach that amount. Peak Reddit advice. Am I the asshole? And relationship advice get a lot of shit, but they pale in comparison to deranged advice on the hobby subreddits. That's true. That's true. There's some hobby subreddits that I'm in where I read like, no, you need to leave her, like all the time. Like the answer, what, she didn't like this movie, like this genre of movie that you're into. It won't even be genre of movie. It'll be like, she's not as much into Star Wars, and they'll be like, yeah, you need to go. Like you got to get out. You got to get out. I'm sorry. You don't like Spider-Man? You got to leave. You got to leave, quite frankly. Dumb bitch. Entire thing could be summed as, OP, my BF wants to move in together. We've come to the point where we debate which of our stuff we'd get rid of, which every single couple does. I refuse to take or make any compromises regarding my plans. I'd rather not live together than make compromises. Please validate me. Sub, this man is Ted Bundy. Okay. Yeah, true. It's that's what I'm saying. Absolutely blasting the man from a small 2-paragraph story. This is what I'm talking about. I see this all the time. When I sort by controversial and I'm reading comments, I see this happen a lot. But anyways, hey guys, having trouble budgeting, could use some help. Houseplants, $30,000. I mean, that's insane shit, but that is what it is, you know? Be happy.